coming up.
I'm grateful that the jury decided not to send a man to prison for 20 years because he didn't pump up a tire. Well, he did pump up a tire.
It was very amazing and very disheartening to have the mayor of the city of Anniston to come and get on the witness stand and just outright lied.
You're talking remove the vote on the amendments?
Removing those addresses.
We're doing this because what happened in the court, but it's okay. You should have done that the other night, man. You didn't do that. But anyway, go ahead on.
No amendment was made, nor was it made clear.
I know you're covering yourself for never having done that before, but now
that's actually not covered, Mr. Reddick, but I think you'll be dealing with that at some point.
The motion on the floor is to remove those from Exhibit A. That is
Either they were intending to violate this man's rights or he didn't violate any laws, whether it was taken off the agenda or not, because the corrections have been made.
As the president of the NAACP, we're either gonna live together or we'll be divided and we'll shut this city down.
The fallout is real after Councilman Ben Little was found guilty of 2 misdemeanor ethics violations by a Jefferson County jury. Little held a press conference concerning his conviction.
First of all, it said that pulling the cars or nuisance list from the consent agenda was never done before that particular time that David and I requested to be off, and it was never done after that particular time. Well, we just pulled the minutes, I think about last month or something, it was, where the mayor it was on the table. We had pulled it from the consent agenda and was placed on the table once we had talked about it. The mayor asked for it to be pulled from the table, and the mayor himself voted the list down. She said she had never had one voted down before nor afterward. So that proved that they were lying right there.
Councilman David Reddick testified during Councilman Little's hearing.
The whole purpose of the lawsuit said that he would have benefited directly or indirectly off of his vote. But if he had already made the corrections to the vehicles that he was requested to make, and the council go and pull his vehicles anyway, if they still intended to take this man's property anyway, they violated his law as a citizen and they violated due process. So either they were intending to violate this man's rights or he didn't violate any laws, whether it was taken off the agenda or not, because the corrections have been made.
Anniston Mayor Jack Draper also testified against Little at the hearing. The mayor insists he testified truthfully under oath.
again, as citizens, just, research, investigate everything we talk about here, form your own opinions as to these issues that we have debated and are debating.
Now here's where Little and Reddick disagree with the mayor's testimony. They say the council has allowed residents to acknowledge discrepancies with properties and vehicles that are on the city's nuisance abatement list. Residents who bring their property and vehicles back up to city code and have proof are removed from the nuisance abatement list with no repercussions. Here's a recent example of how the process works.
Our last resolution tonight is one removed from the consent agenda, and it is one overruling objection to the abatement of identified nuisances group 2019-05 grass, debris, and vehicles. Those are the addresses that were read into the record for the public hearing. I will very quickly read those again now. 2108 Cobb Avenue, 2620 McCoy Avenue, 2619 McCoy Avenue, 2614 McCoy Avenue, 1821 Noble Street, 345 Linlock, 520 Rosewood Avenue, 2912 McElroy Avenue, 3009 Moore Avenue, 1424 McCall Drive, 909 West 17th, and 1814 Walnut. I will move for passage and adoption. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I will now move to remove the addresses of 345 Linlock and 1814 Walnut Avenue from the addresses. Is there a second to that amendment?
Second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
You didn't ask for comment.
That's all right. I mean, it's those addresses that we talked about.
Oh, but what I'm saying is, you're talking remove the vote on the amendments?
Removing those addresses.
We're doing this because what happened in the court, but it's okay. You should have done that the other night, man. You didn't do that. But anyway, go ahead on.
No amendment was made, nor was it made clear that could be for another day. Okay, so anyway, the motion on again, I'm sure that will be dealt with.
You do it.
A motion on the, that amendment then is to remove 345 Limlock and 1814 Walnut.
She didn't want to get into that.
That's been, I don't think either one of y'all want to get into that.
I know you're covering yourself for never having done that before, but now.
That's actually not covered, Mr.
Because-
Reddick, but I think you'll be dealing with that at some point.
Because-
The motion on the floor is to remove those from Exhibit A. That has been seconded. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Jenkins?
Yes.
Councilmember Reddick?
No.
Councilmember Little?
No.
Councilmember Harris? Yes. Mayor Draper?
Yes, at the request of citizens, those have been removed. So now, we now have on the floor the resolution overruling objections with the removal of those addresses. Council discussion.
You're getting salty, are you, Mayor?
I try not to, Mr. Reddick. Sometimes it's very, very difficult, though, I'll tell you that.
We've never done this before. It's not a bad idea, but now we got to remember to try to remove stuff. When over the last 50 years, we just, if someone from the public came up to the podium, that item was, just.
Now, Mr. Reddick, you know that is absolutely untrue. Our minutes reflect.
It's all right.
Look, if you want to continue to spread the falsehoods, hey, you want to keep spreading that, you go ahead.
So, it's all right. I mean, this your first term. It's good. It's okay. But
Thank you, Mr. Reddick, I appreciate it.
it's cool. It's just how we're gonna start doing it. It's okay. Let's do it.
Any additional discussion?
I'm just gonna say at 1814, I sent you several addresses that's in far better, worse shape condition of that address. And also, I have put in west of 905 Benneray Street and other properties to be cut and cleaned. That property's been in probably over a year and a half to 2 years ago. It's not cut and cleaned yet. And you have a property here that's on the east side of 106, east 29th Street, things of that nature. So something is going on in code. Property are being reported. Certain things are jumped way over, and certain things jump a little bit over, and certain things just jump out of sight and out of mind. And then they go get other properties and doing other things. Now, Councilman Reddick was right. I'm gonna show you the minutes. Normally when someone stands up, even in the objection, the rule overruling the objection, something like that, when it stands up, we don't do no amendments. We just go ahead and vote on it, and then those properties automatically are taken off. That's come about because what we're saying in the courtroom. Your good mayor was out there telling a few fears, but anyhow, that's another story, another day. And the attorney is a parliamentarian. He's supposed to make sure things are done right.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Jenkins?
Yes.
Councilmember Reddick?
Yes.
Councilmember Little?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Mayor Draper?
Yes, the resolution passes.
Just like that, the nuisance issue is cleared. Little alleges the council didn't treat his nuisance abatement situation the same as they did with other residents who fixed their issues. Little claims his vehicles were brought back up to code. Little went on to say the code enforcement officer took pictures of his vehicle that day before the council meeting, but was not present that evening at the council meeting to present the photos. Somehow, the council failed to remove Little's vehicles off the nuisance abatement list. That's where Little's ethics issues started.
Even if it was on a nuisance list, the nuisance is the first step. The next step is an abatement. That's after that vote is the financial way a record may come in. A record don't come in on a nuisance vote. And this is where you prevent it going to. Well, look, that's due process. Due process, if I get it squared away, it wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. Due process, you afforded me the opportunity to get it done at the council meeting. I did exactly as everyone else does. Stated that things were squared away. I will show you even it was at an abatement stage, I will show you where people stood up in the council and said the same thing. We went ahead and voted on the entire list, but it was not declared it was not a nuisance. That's the way we do business. And that's exactly what I did. And so be clear, this was not a financial vote in the first place. And I'm not saying that because I voted. I'm saying it because I did not vote, and I continue to say that. I did not vote on that, but the parliamentary procedure was a little convoluting in there. Jurors probably couldn't understand some stuff. And once again, I say, the parliamentarian is the city attorney, who is the mayor's brother. The assistant is the a city manager. And Kent Davis played dumb. Judge asked him a question. He started going pokey pig. He go pokey pig like he couldn't understand nothing. He is an attorney. And the mayor himself is an attorney. They knew parliamentary procedure. If not, I could teach it to them. If there were a requirement for something, he as a presiding officer should bring that up, where at this time we need to do this. Or the parliamentarian says this, or the assistant said something. They said nothing. They had no proof there on that night, and they got on a witness stand and lied.
What's perjury? To knowingly say something false while being sworn under statement? Correct?
I think so. I don't know.
As I understand perjury, that's perjury. So for the mayor to say that the city council didn't have a practice that we practice every day, and we have on record 2 city managers stating that the way we deal with our nuisance and abatement is if an item is brought before the council, unless code enforcement readdresses the council once a citizen comes before the council, we don't vote on that agenda item. Because there was a council meeting where I made the response, should we make a motion to pull these items off of the abatement agenda? And I was told by 2 city council meetings at 2 city council managers, including Kent Davis and Jay Johnson, that according to our policy, once a citizen comes before the council, unless code enforcement requests that we keep that item on the agenda, it is not voted on that night. So for the mayor to get before a judge as an attorney and tell the judge that we have never had that practice and we've never done that and we have to have an amendment because I requested an amendment in a council meeting, and I was told according to this Anniston City Council Managers Act process, that is what we do. They tried to skirt the truth by bringing up Robert's Rule of Orders and doing general parliamentary procedure as how we practice in the council. But every elected body accepts their own due process on how they do their job at the first council meeting or the first public meeting of them taking office, and we adopted an agenda. So the mayor did in fact perjure himself knowingly, because he knew that we as a council have that practice, because he was there and he was part of the discussion to explain that to me. And I knew it, but I just brought it up as a point of privilege so that the public will understand how the city council operates. So for the mayor to participate in council meeting to say that's not how we do business, we don't need an amendment, and then to go and sit before a judge, the same mayor, less than 3 months later, and say that's not how we do business, parliamentary procedure dictates that we do an amendment, is perjury. As I understand it, unless there's some new definition of it. I only went to Jacksonville State University, and I think we got good professors there, but maybe they taught me wrong, and maybe the law books I read are wrong, and maybe my teachers didn't know what they was talking about. But if truth is truth, and I understand truth as it is, that is perjury.
Councilman Little's ethics arrest made front page news. To date, Councilman Little has not gone to court for the sentencing phase. Another councilman, Jay Jenkins, has also been cited for ethics violations by the Alabama Ethics Commission. But fortunately, Jenkins was not arrested like his colleague, Councilman Little. That may come after a grand jury reviews the case. Councilman Jenkins' ethics violations stem from votes to relocate Anniston City Hall to the Consolidated Publishing Building, the Anniston Star. The issue here is Councilman Jenkins' wife works at the Anniston Star, therefore Jenkins should have abstained from voting on the matters. There are at least 3 instances where Councilman Jenkins voted on business involving Consolidated Publishing. The first ethics violation was voting in favor of relocating to the Anniston Star building. His second ethics violation was voting to pay the $22,000 per month rent on the Anniston Star building. His third ethics violation was voting in favor of executing the agreement to relocate to the Anniston Star building. Our cameras were rolling as these ethics violations occurred.
Okay, our last motion tonight deals with an issue probably many of you are here for, and it deals with the temporary relocation of City Hall. Before we begin this, and I anticipate that this will be very much fleshed out in council discussion, no one is lying. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Jenkins,
Yes. Our sixth resolution deals with ratifying and approving and consenting to GSA's selection of the current City Hall site for the new regional federal courthouse to be located in Anniston, and further authorizing the mayor and city manager to represent the city in the acquisition, or in GSA's acquisition of the City Hall site and the city's potential acquisition of the existing federal courthouse. Mr. Johnson, that's pretty self-explanatory. Is there anything additionally that we need to know or for the benefit of the public?
I don't believe so, sir. No, sir.
Okay, I will move for passage and adoption. Is there a second?
second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Jenkins,
Yes.
Our first resolution deals with authorizing the mayor to execute a lease agreement with Consolidated Publishing. Without reading the entirety of the lease, can you present that resolution, Mr. Johnson?
This is a lease by and between the city of Anniston and Consolidated Publishing, whereby the city would enter into a lease agreement for approximately 24,000 square feet of the building. It would be a 4-year term with 4 one-year renewal options. As part of the lease, the landlord will pay taxes, insurance, and utilities.
I will move for passage and adoption. Is there a second?
Second.
Council discussion.
I would report it to the Ethics Commission, which I'm not exactly, concerned about that. Okay, but I want to make sure that no one else get in halfway situation. Gee, I don't know if your wife works there or not. I don't know because somebody might be out there trying to lure you into something. If your wife works with the Anniston Star in any form, that they may try to say you may refrain from voting. I don't know, but I don't know if the city attorney can bring that up and address that issue. I'm mad at you. If you can or not, you may have already looked into that already. I just say that I know people out there, and for whatever reason, they try to mess people over. Like I said, I'm not necessarily concerned about what was put on me. We're gonna deal with that in good fashion. But if your wife works there at the Anniston Star, I don't know how cautious. Okay, I don't know how cautious that would be. It's just sort of protection of you, protection of the rest of the people, I reckon.
Councilman Little says Anniston City Attorney Bruce Downey should have intervened and cautioned Jenkins about voting.
The city attorney, like I said, can address that, I imagine. If need be, if not, if you already checked it out and you're ready to go, then that's on you.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Jenkins,
Yes.
For now, Jenkins' ethics issues will be reviewed by a grand jury. We'll keep you posted on those developments. In other city business, the Anniston City Council took CDBG funds out of the control of the Anniston Housing Authority. Now the City Council controls the CDBG funds.
And I'm saying we get about 30 to 40 houses on rooftops, more. We just can utilize the money. It would have been a shame. We go to the council in Washington, D.C. each year around March, pushing for more funding to make sure the president and Congress don't cut CDBG. Can you imagine when they would look at Anniston and see you got about $900,000 you haven't used, and you have no intention of using what would happen to that money? Shame on us. It is the duty of the elected official of Anniston to appropriately and efficiently and effectively utilize that money. We cannot battle hand off that to housing and anyone else to utilize that money. We were charged with utilizing that money. I know how to use it. Like Patrick said, give me the gasoline, I'll move. You give us the money and listen to us. and we're putting money in the place that needs to be.
$562,275 roughly.
That's coming back.
That's coming back to us. We already have, as I understand from our work session, $585,000 currently allocated to home repair outside of these funds. So it's sitting in our $400,000 of that sitting with the city, and the remaining $185 has been distributed to either the Right Place, the West Anniston, or Northeast Anniston, Alabama Community Foundation, something along that line, and Habitat. So there is $585,000 that is currently set aside for home renovations that is there today. This $562,000 and change, we will come to a solution as to how that might be reallocated once it's recaptured, assuming it's recaptured.
My concern is I've got a file back from for years ago, how we were, because we did not manage these funds correctly, we were fined huge amounts of money, huge amounts. And HUD has very, very strict regulations. It's beyond my ability to understand all of it. And could you tell us specifically where these cities are doing this for individual houses and how they're doing it? Or could we get our consultant to help us?
Absolutely. We can get our consultant to do it, and we did it in the past. And the problem was, it wasn't the money, it wasn't any of that. It was the person that was in charge of that program at the time. That's who made the mistake back then. And the city got fined because our city staff wasn't doing their job. We got a consultant working with us now.
But what are the obstacles? Is it a problem getting contractors willing to do this work, or I just like to have a better understanding?
The contractor has to be bonded. So when you got a city that's committing to, we're not going to let a widower who lost her husband, who's living on Social Security and trying to survive. These are people who have to decide whether they're going to buy their medicine or food for this week. We're not going to let them live on a situation where they can't afford their house to fix their house either. So it just puts us in a position where we can help these widows and people like that.
But my thing is, how do we do it legally, whether within the regulations of HUD, so we won't get in trouble again? And
we do it now. We're donating to non-profit, like what we're doing with West Anniston Foundation. They're doing. We got more work done putting the money in the West Anniston Foundation than we did when we tried to hire a person to go and do it. I think we're still waiting for that first house to be done on that first 250 we put in.
The city of Anniston officially has a new city manager. Interim city manager Stephen Folks was appointed to the city manager position in a 4-to-1 council vote.
I want to reiterate what you just said, Councilman Jenkins and Jack Draper. Today, I had a meeting with our city manager. He sat down with me and answered all my questions. I was convinced when I walked away from that meeting, this man knows exactly what he's doing. He's fair, he's innovative in the way he approaches his job, he's smart, he's analytical. What in the world else would we want? And so I'm honored to be able to vote yes on his contract. He deserves every bit of it.
Any additional discussion? You should have asked for a bigger signing bonus. $500. Come on now.
And this is serious matters. This is very, very serious. And now Jay talked about it. If somebody don't know somebody by now, you'll never know them. That's a song that says something like that. But this is the deal here. An individual that's been watching a doctor operate on somebody taking the heart out does not automatically get a doctor's license just because they've been watching all that long time. They've been around. Until you go to school and do this and do that and show that you can do the doctor stuff, then that's before you do that. So I disagree with that premises per se. But once again, and to everyone out there, it's about fairness, it's about a process, it's about the procedures and things of this nature. That's what I'm talking about. And see, what you all don't know, if they use this for a stepping stone to do something else, well, we didn't do this there, so we're gonna do this over here. See, I've been around for a few days, long before these folks got up here. That's why I don't laugh about this appointment. I don't care what one may say. There's nothing to joke about, but how well he can do this and how well he can do that. He has not sat in front of us. He has not sat in front of us and said anything, not one thing about how he's going to do something. Not one thing. That is the process and procedure. I don't care if you're black as midnight or white as daylight, whoever you are. That's what we said we want done, and that's what should need to be. That's what should happen. And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying, for no other reason. And if folk get mad about it, just get mad. It's nothing against him. But I'm talking about the process and procedures. And let me tell you, down the road, it hurts you. It will hurt you very bad. Very, very bad. When you don't follow it and you mess it up one time, it'll come back to bite you again.
And I agree that there should be an interview process and all that. I would challenge you to say that there has been an interview process. This man's been serving as an interim city manager for 4 months. In addition to serving as the Parks and Recreation Director for I don't know how many years, but in the city as a whole for 24. And we don't know who this man is right now. We ain't never gonna know who this man is. We know him to be a good man. We know him to be a fair man. You know him to be a good man, and you know him to be a fair man. And there is no reason for us to go through that process when we know what we've got, and we've got something that works. So, in this instance, while I appreciate Councilman Little's comments, I don't see how it's of value for this particular position with this individual.
Listen, I appreciate those comments, Mr. Jenkins, because we could go through a long, drawn-out process. There is no better person to serve the city of Anniston right now than Stephen Folks. There is no doubt in my mind that that is the case. I am proud that he's our city manager. I'm proud that he's agreed to be our city manager, quite frankly, and I thank God that things unfolded in the way that they did that actually allowed him to be city manager, and I think we should all be thankful that he's city manager.
Meanwhile, at the Anniston City School Board, it was money, money, money. State Representative Dr. Barbara Boyd presented the school with checks to help the school system.
Each one of the schools, Randolph Park and Golden Springs and 10th Street, will get $1,000 each. At the middle school, there's a new program called Girls Who Code. And Wanda Elston, who was one of my students a long time ago, and also Mrs. Montfort and I are on the Anniston Community Education Foundation Board, so we're behind that. So to help her along with that program, she'll get $1,000 too. And Reverend Gregory, if you will come forward, I have really been impressed with the programs that are innovative that you have been trying to do. So to help you along and speed you along with your new program, you're going to get $2,000 of the $6,000.
Also, the search for a new Anniston City Schools Chief Financial Officer is set to begin. School board members unanimously agreed to hire the Alabama Association of School Boards to conduct the CFO search. Finally, School Board President Robert Houston addressed de-annexation during his closing comments.
This thing about de-annexation in the Anniston school system, to me, fall in that same category. Just doing it different, a different way of doing it. Is around human rights violations. Please know the invisible now is visible. The things that we used to hide, you can't hide anymore. It's obvious if you look and see. You can laugh at me, you can question my logic, you can even doubt what I'm saying, but the time will tell. These wrongs will be made right in the state of Alabama. And Alabama will lead the nation in these changes. Again, the visible...
Stay tuned for more developments with the Anniston City Council and the Anniston School Board. Thanks for watching.